Much for joining us. We're pleased to welcome now Sandy Middleton, Executive Director of the Center for Violence Prevention. And also we have a trafficking survivor with us in the studio today, Grace. And we appreciate you ladies for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Sandy, tell us first what you're working on with the legislature that you need to get done that would help the center fight the scourge of human trafficking.
Well, of course, at the top of our list is always the appropriations request. The legislature has been really good to us to support our human trafficking fund, and that allows for so much of the work that's being done in the field all over the state. So we really need that money again to continue this work, and also the crime victim amount that's going over to the Department of Health that we suffered because of the VOCA cuts, all the federal issues that we had 2 or 3 years ago that affected all the states. And so that injection of cash was, it would have cost, for our shelter, for our program, it would have cost us about $500,000 in funding. So it was a big blow, and the state legislature really saved us, and it saved our program. So we really need that funding to continue. So and then we've got multiple rate bills that we're working on. We infused the cash to the crime lab back a couple of years ago to update everything. They had their equipment and their employees and staff and everything, but we're still struggling to get our hands around what's happening through the process. We continue to have victims show up at hospitals and be turned away. Nobody's there that can do the kit, or they don't have a kit, and just that attitude of we don't do that here. And then we still can't get our hands around where all the kits are. Do we have a backlog? How many are here? How many are there? And so Representative McClain has got House Bill 1298, and that actually is going to require everybody that could have their hands on a rape kit to report how many they have, where they are, to the Attorney General's office, because we just haven't been able to figure that out. And that's huge when you think about justice for rape victims. And then we also have House Bill 928 that's going to put some requirements on hospitals, and there's several other good bills that are out there, but that's kind of our focus this year, aside from the appropriations.
What about just punishment for these criminals?
Yeah, and that's the frustration, is that if we've got DNA evidence that we can take these offenders to trial. Now that we have what we need at the crime lab to be able to process the kits and recognize and identify the offender, it just seems like a no-brainer that we need to connect those gaps and make it happen. We know that these rapists are repeat offenders. We've seen it happen locally lately, and it just seems like that should be an easy fix.
Gotcha. Grace, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here, too. So you are a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I have some very challenging circumstances.
Definitely.
How did the local police get involved in your situation? How did they help you?
That is a good question. How the local police got involved in my situation, it was a sting that they did an operation, and they were actually looking for a different individual, and they came across me. And so when they came in and did the sting, we were at a hotel room, and when they came in, I was petrified. I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And so after that, he just started talking to me. It was a sergeant. He sat me down and he was like, can I talk to you? And first they allowed me to get dressed. And so once I did that, he sat me down and he just started talking to me, and he just started telling me about, the woman at the well. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he said, do you know about the Bible? And I was like, yes, I know about the Bible. And he just started talking to me. And then he showed me a picture of his daughter. And he said, this is my daughter. And, of course, I'm playing hard. I don't care, But then, it made me think in my own mind, what would my daddy think where I was at, and I was missing at that moment. And so, it made me just really touch base with my human part, and instead of the hard shell that I was trying to be, it made me really just go inside and think, what about my daddy too? And so, and what about me? What did I deserve to be there? And so just sitting me down and treating me like a human being instead of a criminal is what really helped me.
Interesting.
Definitely.
So there's no secret. You guys know this better than most, that we could be just out and about in our normal daily routine and encounter victims and not know that they are being trafficked. Is there anything that we can do to recognize them, Grace?
To recognize a victim, it is kind of a difficult situation, but at the same time, you can have open eyes and ears you can hear things or see things. Some of the things that you may see, victims of human trafficking, they don't really have a say-so in their own lives. A lot of them hold their head down a lot and don't make a lot of eye contact as well. But as a victim, I will know, I'm a survivor, so as a survivor, I will know a victim, automatically. It's like a bond that you just instantly know, oh, this is a victim of trafficking right here. But a lot of signs would be like just not having their own identity. If you don't resonate with who you are and yourself, if you are always, about this other person, life is definitely there to make this other person, better. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's great. So, Sandy, you and I have been discussing this issue for a while, and it's one of those things that it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. We, in my Rotary yesterday, had an FBI agent here in Jackson.
Really?
Do a great presentation.
Yeah.
And explained a lot of the aspects of this problem. My question is, in the few years that you and I have been talking about this, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? About the same? What's your assessment?
I don't think the crime of human trafficking is any different. I mean, it's there. An interesting thing that we're seeing is that the reports or the tips are less. They're fewer now than they were a year or two ago, but we're finding that the tips are more legitimate.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a couple of years ago we were getting tips about, well, I see this white van in Walmart. We were fighting all these urban legends and everything, or urban myths. And now it seems like the tips are coming more from professional places. And so I think the training and the awareness and, everything y'all do here at SuperTalk and a lot of other places have really helped inform the public. And so I think they know a little bit more about what they're looking for. And so I think that's helped. And I think also, just like Grace was talking about, the importance of local law enforcement, we really want to continue to encourage local law enforcement to do this work. State and federal, the feds are great. They can work a case up one side and down the other, but there's only so many of them. Yeah. And the same for the state agencies. And, we really need our local guys to continue to step up, and we need our DAs. We haven't had the only successful state prosecution we had was a couple of years ago, and our DAs really need to step up and go through the training and learn how to prosecute these crimes, because then we could really see a difference. There's a lot of cases that are open out there. They're just not going to trial.
What's the holdup?
I think that, of course, all DAs are worried about their win percentages. There's a lot of politics in this issue. Everybody wants to talk about it, but when it comes down to the work, it's really hard work. It takes a lot of time to investigate these cases. It takes a ton of time to get ready to prosecute them. Then you got to educate the jury. It's just such a heavy lift that a lot of times what we're seeing is they're just pleading it down to another offense, and and it's good. It's good that they're getting something, but at the same time, the public wants justice. Yeah. And I think we've seen this in the last election. The public across the board is hungry to see justice out there, and this is just one of those issues that that local law enforcement and local DAs, they need to step up and provide justice.
Definitely.
Glad to know that. So we need to put some pressure there.
For sure. And we've also added, we've got our our Operational Human Trafficking Task Force Board that has trained over 500 investigators around the state. They're training and certifying the investigators. And we've also added a couple of prosecutors in that group, so they are going to be actively aiding DAs to be able to prepare for court and know how to prosecute these cases.
Gotcha. Grace, before we go here, we got about 15 seconds. What can we do to help human trafficking victims recover?
What we can do, we can love on them. We can support them in any way that we can. Be there for them, be their community, and definitely continue to seek justice.
Was that critical to your recovery?
It is very critical. The village, it takes a village, and definitely that village, it has to come from the heart. And so when people are surrounded by love, they bloom, and it becomes
Makes
a beautiful
sense.
thing.
Sandy, Grace, thanks for coming on.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
We're coming right back.